Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your reading for quarter three or two, sorry, of 2025, April, May, and June. We are gonna jump right in here and see what's going on for you. You have this change card and this purification card. Great time for you for purification. So any healing, that you want to do, any resting, relaxing, recovering, any of that stuff is going to be great for you at this time, Libra. And also like looking at your intentions. By that I mean like looking at the things that you want to do in your life, or like the reason behind why you're doing the things that you're doing is purification. Like when we do things with a pure purpose or a pure reason, then things can go very well for us. So it's kind of like having a why, like having a reason for making the changes, or doing the things that you want to do in your life, and doing it for a good reason. And that's kind of what I'm getting here. But you start with the Lovers, the Emperor, and the Nine of Swords. The Lovers definitely could be love. Everybody's had love, and it is a good time for love, especially when we get to the month of May. The Nine of Swords could just say that you are trying to like avoid something. Like a similar love story, right? Like you are, obviously, which isn't necessarily a bad thing either. So we have the Lovers. Definitely could be love. As always, you have fire showing up here. So it could be a fire sign. Again, if you don't like fire signs, that's fine. It could just be a fiery person. It could be a person who has like, a fire Venus or a fire Jupiter or something like that. I always tell people that, I think looking at the sun sign is probably the worst thing you could look at for love. I think Venus and Jupiter are the best things that you can look at for love, and also your own chart as well. But, again, I think that it could be like a fiery person. The Lovers also is about having a choice. Traditionally the Lovers was called a choice, and it was a card of making a choice in love. But you have the Eight of Wands right next to it, with the Page of Wands, with the Eight of Swords. I actually really like this, and the Eight of Swords is coming up in the good stuff. Eight of Wands is a very quick movement forward, so it's almost like you are making a choice to not be stuck anymore, which is great. Right below the Eight of Swords, you have the Ten of Wands, which is also showing up in the good stuff here, and I would say that is also good. The Ten of Wands is being burdened, and having it in the good stuff can say you're putting those burdens down. Obviously we'll talk more about that in just a minute, but, I kind of feel you're making some important choices at this time. One thing I will say is that, again, the Mercury retrograde ends basically at the end of the first week of April. And so, it makes sense to me that we're getting past all this retrograde energy. Venus will end soon after. And, plus we've been dealing with retrograde since November. So getting past all the retrogrades, finally, that we've been dealing with for like 6 months, it makes sense that we could be making choices. We have been processing a lot of information since November, and now we're making choices on those the processing that we have done. You have the Emperor. I'm doing this on the day of the Aries eclipse, which is your opposite sign. A lot of people have been getting the Emperor energy, and the reason I believe that people are getting this Emperor energy is because now it's time to boss up. I mean, it's pretty simple. We've been in an extended period of dreaminess. We've had Neptune and Pisces. Tomorrow, on the day that I publish this video, on Sunday, the 30th or whatever it is, Neptune will officially be moving into Aries. This is a pretty big deal. It takes like 14 years or whatever for Neptune to clear a sign, to go through the whole entire sign. We've had it in Pisces. When Neptune is in Pisces, it's like the big impossible dream. We're all dreaming of all the lovely things we want. Now, you might be saying the past 14 years have sucked, and that could be true, because sometimes for us to realize what we really want, we have to experience the opposite, right? We have to experience something that sucks so that we can dream about something better. But now is when the rubber meets the road. Neptune will be retrograding back into Pisces, but it's going to be in your opposite sign for like 14 years or whatever it is. So now is the time for you to like really say, like, I feel for Libra, there are a lot of things that you like, a lot of things you don't like, which is true for everyone. That's kind of a stupid thing to say, but I think now it's time to be like, okay, I am going to adopt these habits to make sure I have more of the things that I like. For Libra, I think it's about like habits, your daily routine, the work that you do to experience more value in your life. And those are the things I would focus on with the Emperor. Sure, this could be a person, but, I kind of feel this reading is a little bit bigger picture. You have the Nine of Swords. the things you don't like. Nine of Swords is a never-ending nightmare. I would say that the good news is we all have the opportunity now to get out of something that has been a never-ending nightmare. I always say, I think the Nine of Swords is the worst card in the tarot deck because, this person is in pain, but they're not in enough pain to make a change. So the Nine of Swords is always like the universe is asking you, like, how much worse does it have to get for you to like decide that you're actually going to do something different? And, I would say don't wait. If there are changes you want to make or improvements you want to make, now is definitely the time with that Nine of Swords energy. And I'm pretty sure you've been getting the Nine of Swords with me a lot. And the Nine of Swords, one thing I will say about the Nine of Swords is that he has this blanket here, and it's a comfort blanket. And there are these astrological symbols in the blue squares on the card. And so what the astrological symbols represent is all the astrology that this person has lived through. And it's meant to give this person comfort. It's meant to say like, hey, you've been through all these things. Like you have learned. You know what to do now. So you can get out of bed. You can get away from the pain, right? Let's see. With the Lovers, you have the Devil. I feel this is like a background story. I feel that with that Nine of Swords, if love is coming into your life, I feel you are trying to avoid, a disaster, basically. So I don't feel good or bad about this. Number one, I always encourage people to trust the evidence. If a person says something to you and it's weird, then it probably is weird, right? We should trust what people say and do. We need to look at their actions. But on the other hand, I feel this reading is saying like, hey, not everyone is the same. So, you also don't want to overcorrect and treat a good person poorly because of something a past person did. So, I would make sure to, I would encourage balance here. With the Emperor, you have the Sun. Yeah, we have the sunflower on the purification card here, right here. And sunflowers point towards the sun, right? So the more you can clarify your intentions for your life, I feel the better things will go, especially with this Sun card coming up. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, confusion. I will say that, if you're meeting a person now, I would definitely take your time. And you probably will feel confusion about a person right now. We have Venus retrograde until the 12th, right? And then, you have to remember we have the shadow period after retrogrades. I'm not a big worrier about shadow periods. I think that it's kind of like it's done, it's over. Like, just move on. Don't worry about the shadow. But again, you could be, you could still be a little bit confused with a person. I think that your solution is the Eight of Wands in the next row. If you're meeting a person right now, make your intentions clear, right? Just say, hey, right now, I'm not sure what I'm feeling. I just want to communicate. If you're not okay with that, then, then go get lost or whatever. And if a person is okay with it, then no big deal. But, I think that we have to be clear, and they have to be clear, right? But we, as long as we're being clear, pure intentions, right, then things will be fine. We only create a problem if we say to a person like, oh, I don't know, but we can talk and all this other stuff, right? And that's where we create these weird situations. And I do feel the first row of this reading is saying like, don't create a weird situation by leading a person. I'm not saying that we do this to be bad either. Like, I'm not calling you out here, Libra. But again, I think sometimes we tell a person like, oh, okay, maybe we can talk, maybe whatever, we can see where things go, when that's not what we really want. So if you're meeting a person, that's what I would say is like, what do you really want? And, yeah, sure. Maybe you're not sure. So you tell a person, I'm not sure. And that's where I'm at right now. And maybe that means that you miss out on a person. But again, your intentions will be pure if you do that. What are we doing? Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Poised card and this Change in the Wind card. We talked about changes in your first row because your first row card is the Change card. So there's clearly some changes. I love this Poise card. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck. There's that lady. She's like being lifted up on a pedestal. And you also have the Strength card. The Strength card is a display of strength. It kind of says you are ready or you're about to receive a lot of attention. And so there could be, some attention coming in for you here. You have the Eight of Wands, the Strength card, and the Eight of Cups, or Ace of Cups. The Eight of Wands is quick success. It's also communication. So clear communication is going to be very good for you right now. Another thing that I've been reminding people of recently with the Eight of Wands is that we can't be pulling in two directions with the Eight of Wands. We have to only be going in one direction. So it might be a good time for you. I would say, especially like the first few weeks of April, to get clear on your intentions. Maybe you need to write them down. I am a big fan of writing things down, because when you put it outside of your body, you are externalizing your feelings, your thoughts, your everything, and then you can see it and you can be clear about it. And the thing with the Eight of Wands is that we need to be crystal clear, right? Maybe that's what we should call this reading, is crystal clear, because I feel the Eight of Wands is saying the clearer you are, the faster things are going to move. But the problem with things moving fast is that things can be confusing. But if we externalize things, we look at them, then it won't be confusing. We will be clear and things will go in the right direction. And so I think this reading, like a big part of this reading, is clearly direction, in the direction that you're kind of like aiming in. You have the Strength card. Yeah, we've all done a lot of work. Like, I think everybody should, pat themselves on the back for Neptune and Pisces, like the last 14 years. I think people should pat themselves on the back for surviving since November, right? And, just kind of, be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself. The Strength card says you've done a lot of work. What she is doing is a display of strength. She is conquering her inner voice. The lion here has its tail between its legs, and the lion kind of represents her inner voice or her inner critic or her inner demons. But she is the one that is in control. And so I think it's going to be very important for you to make sure that you're not letting that voice in the back of your head kind of take control of your life at this time. I would say, again, especially the first few weeks or so of April. I think once we get past that, things will get a lot better. Things should feel better now, really. But, like I said, I would, kind of take your time, be kind to yourself for the first few weeks. You have the Ace of Cups. A lot of aces in this set of readings, which makes sense. I think that with all the planets going direct, we have that final eclipse until September today. And, well, if you're watching this, it was yesterday, or depending on when you were watching it, it was in the past on the 30th, but, or on the 29th, sorry. But, again, I think that for a lot of people, there could be a lot of this new beginning energy. Ace of Cups is also pure intentions. Ace of Cups can be anything that we do that causes our emotions to overflow. This cup is overflowing, and it can easily reach down into the water below it here and fill itself back up. So usually things that we do that are pure for us cause flow, and the Ace of Cups encourages more flow. I do feel that, again, there could be a love offer that you're unsure of coming in for you, and again, I would just take your time. With the Eight of Wands, you have the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is a great card for you, Libra. I think that Libras have been trying to create this, like, a very solid foundation in their life, if that makes sense. And, that's probably something you've been working on since, 2016, somewhere around there. And, the Nine of Pentacles kind of says you are getting there. Nine of Pentacles is a great card for practicing gratitude, right? The more grateful we are with the Nine of Pentacles, the better. And so that's what I would focus on with this card. She is also a card of focus. She has this falcon right here on her hand, and it represents, like, what she focuses on is what she's going to receive. So she needs to make sure to focus on good things, not bad things, so that good things can happen for her. And I would definitely make sure you're focusing on good stuff. With the Strength card, you have the Eight of Swords. I'm not too worried about this because you end with the Eight of Swords. So, this is kind of like she is in a self-imposed prison. She is stuck, and she doesn't know what to do. But really, it's because she's only focusing on one solution when there are many solutions to her problem. So the Eight of Swords just says we have to stay open to all solutions. And if we do that, then we will be successful. With the Ace of Cups, you have the World and the Hangman. The World, of course, is an accomplishment. The Hangman is about gaining enlightenment. He's been in Hangman mode. He sacrificed movement of his arms and his legs so he can gain enlightenment. He's been looking for answers. Again, makes sense based off of all the retrogrades we've been dealing with. We've all been on pause during retrograde periods. We're looking for answers, and now that we're past the retrogrades almost, you're getting answers, like in this next second quarter. The World can be about getting out into the world. I don't really see too much withdrawn energy here other than the Eight of Swords, but it might be a good time to go do something fun, get out of the house, go get out into the world, right? Go have an experience. I think that would be great. The other thing is, we have two portal cards going up to this Eight of Swords. We have the World and the Wheel of Fortune. These are both cards that represent a portal. And so a lot of you could be kind of like closing cycles out, and you have these change cards here, so you could be making some pretty big changes at this time. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this grasshopper spirit, says take a leap of faith. You have the squirrel spirit, says believe in yourself. Yeah, I mean, really, the whole reading, the strength card, the Eight of Swords even, maybe she needs to believe in herself to take a leap of faith towards something that she desires. So I think it would be a great time for you to believe in yourself and, take that leap of faith towards something. The grasshopper can also be a symbol of luck, and you have the Wheel of Fortune in this row, which is also, a card of luck. So the thing about the Wheel of Fortune is that we have to take the chance to be lucky, so we have to put ourselves in positions where luck can happen with the Wheel of Fortune, and that's definitely something I would I would think about with that Wheel of Fortune. I don't really have a good example, but it's kind of like one of those things. Like, I've heard stories before where it's like there are people who play baseball, right? And they're actually not very good, but what makes them good is they swing the bat more, And I think that is what I'm getting off of the Wheel of Fortune. It's not so much about, how it's more about how many swings you're taking, right? And maybe we'll get more clarity on that in a second. You have the Page of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Six of Pentacles. The Page of Wands, of course, wants you to have fun. I think that this is probably something that's going to come up for everyone because it hasn't been fun, and we need more fun in the world. So the Page of Wands, he goes on an adventure because he's excited. That's it. He doesn't really have a good reason for going on his adventure, but he's just enthusiastic about it. So I think you need to be more enthusiastic about the things you're doing. Again, with the Wheel of Fortune, I'm just getting that, like, this is saying that you need to maybe take more chances on something, like, especially in work or business. This is connected to that Nine of Pentacles, and Nine of Pentacles can just be about abundance. So I feel like this is saying that taking more chances is going to be a good thing. I'm not talking about like ridiculous risk here either. We're talking about like tiny little things, right? And to get that wheel spinning forward, get it spinning in the right direction. And that's what I would do. Same thing with this card, the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles is about planting seeds in a direction. And the Six of Pentacles is about kind of like planting a couple seeds, see what grows, see what doesn't, and double down on the good stuff. He's giving to this person here, but he's not giving to this person here. And I feel that your giving is going to be very important, and not only like for the rest of the year. I wouldn't even just say, this quarter. I would say moving forward that what you give to is going to be very important. And just looking at everything here, Devil, Nine of Pentacles. Devil with the Nine of Pentacles is kind of like, an energy vampire, right? The Devil can be an energy vampire. It can just be something that steals your energy. The thing about the Nine of Pentacles is that she has 3 pentacles here and 6 over here. So she's willing to give this much to something new. She always keeps enough to herself. She never gets in a situation where she's over giving, right? And so that is definitely popping into my head with the Six of Pentacles. It doesn't say, again, we don't have to overcorrect with the Six of Pentacles. We just need to make sure we just give a little bit, right? We don't overgive, we don't undergive. We give a little bit to any situation in our life, love, business, and otherwise. And then we wait and we see if we get anything back. If we get something back, great. We can keep investing our time, effort, energy into those things. But it's popping into my head as very important for you, Libra. Like, it's going to be important that you don't get taken advantage of moving forward. With the Page of Wands, you have the Queen of Swords. Pretty good because she is seeing things clearly for the first time. She only has clouds halfway up her body, and she's looking over to this Eight of Swords. So she is seeing like what she needs to do or what she needs to work on clearly for the first time. And, again, the reading definitely says there could be some answers on like how to set yourself free coming in. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Four of Cups. Pretty funny because, there's definitely something here about this reading about like taking another swing, like I was saying, swinging the bat again. I wouldn't really call it a second chance reading, but, I think you're maybe trying something again or doing something that you've done in the past again. He's been disappointed at least 3 times before, but he's being given, he has this cup here is reaching out and offering him something, and he's not accepting it because he's been disappointed before. but he needs to realize that he has all the ingredients for success in these cups. He just needs to mix what he's learned together and apply it to this new situation. So, for some of you, it could be love, it could be anything. But if it's love, for example, it's like you've been disappointed a lot in the past, and now it's saying, well, just apply what you learned and you'll be fine. With the Six of Pentacles, you have the King of Swords. King of Swords is like knowledge and wisdom. We do have two people here. I'm not the biggest fan of the King and Queen of Swords together as divine counterparts, because usually they are two people who are who do not see eye to eye. I also think sometimes that the King and Queen of Swords can just be two people who haven't communicated yet, and that's kind of what I feel for you. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this card, this koi fish card. It's great. It says, you're manifesting more love, prosperity, and wealth into your life. You have this blessed ideas card. It says, allow your ideas to come to fruition, and they will bring many blessings. Love it. So, yeah, with that Eight of Swords, I definitely feel like trying new ideas and making small investments, like I said, with the Six of Pentacles, will allow your ideas to bring blessings into your life. Also, in the good stuff here, we have the Eight of Swords, the Ten of Wands, and the Three of Cups. I kind of get like blessing in disguise energy here a little bit. You've been a little bit stuck, and having the Eight of Swords and the good stuff would say that you are kind of getting unstuck. You are setting yourself free. You are making things happen. So that looks good. You have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands, he is burdened. He's carrying these 10 wands. But the thing of the Ten of Wands is that he planted those wands. He wants that harvest. And he is almost reaching his home in the background here. So he is about to have a harvest. I feel for a lot of you that you are about to have a harvest, or you're about to release your burdens, which is great. This kind of says that you're very close to achieving a goal. Or, when this comes up in the good stuff, it can say you're at the end of a long journey. You have the Three of Cups. Three of Cups is celebration, happiness. It's your community celebrating with people who matter to you. These three ladies are celebrating this harvest that's going on around them. So with the Ten of Wands and also the Nine of Pentacles in your reading, definitely could be celebrating some sort of harvest. I think I've been saying to you for a long time, Libra, that a lot of you could be like getting a job finally, which I think Libra has had a hard time with. And, that's what you could be celebrating. Yeah, with the Eight of Swords, you have the Ace of Swords. Like I said, a lot of aces in these readings, which is really good. And the Ace of Swords is a victory. So if you have been feeling stuck, which there's no doubt about it, you probably have, based off the astrology, especially having, Venus and Mercury going retrograde in your opposite sign, you could finally be gaining like a sense of freedom here. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Eight of Wands. This is like making things just a little bit easier. I look at the Eight of Wands as creating a slip and slide in life. It says, Eight of Wands says you need to look at your life and look at the places in your life where things are slowing down. And how can you make those things slippery, right? How can you make things that are a burden, or, there are always responsibilities in life that we have to deal with that maybe slow us down, but we also maybe we don't have a choice. Like there are certain things that we have to do, and that's it, right? And so the Eight of Wands says, how can you make those things either more enjoyable? How can you make them more slippery? How can you make them easier? And, again, life isn't perfect. It won't be perfect. Maybe you won't be able to come up with a perfect way to do things, but if you can make it a little bit better, it will make things faster. And, that's what I would encourage with that card. With the Three of Cups, you have the Knight of Wands. If you do want love, I would definitely encourage like socializing. The Three of Cups and the Eight of Wands, which you have twice, are great cards for social opportunity, socializing, getting together with friends. And that definitely could be how you find love if you want it. You have this domination card here. I would be careful of like this type of energy. Like let's say you have a person at work who's always like trying to, put you down or whatever, or dominate you, right? I would be careful of people like that in general. You have this status card. If you do want love, you could be gaining status, or you could be meeting a person who has status. I mean, the Emperor definitely has status, so that looks good as well if you want love. You have this caution card. Yes, people. We basically talked about this in this reading. All these animals are rushing at this lady on this card. And so Nine of Pentacles, she only has so much to give, and she needs to keep enough for herself. I think that is a major theme for you in this reading, is making sure that you're not giving too much and making sure that you're keeping enough for yourself. You might have to learn how to say no, right? You have this criticism card. Yeah, again, I do feel like some of you are dealing with a person who's like, it's like they're like a black cloud in your life, and they criticize you. Maybe they try to dominate you. That might be the person that you need to kick to the curb here, Libra. And finally, you have this defense card. Yes, you need to put up boundaries against these any people who are trying to take too much. Any energy vampires, anyone like that, I would definitely avoid. But all in all, I really like this for you, Libra. Very clear, a lot of clarity, which is great. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.